Alright everybody, how we doing today? I'm back, baby! I have returned after a long extended weekend. As I fix my hair because, obsession. But, nonetheless, here I am, and here we are. So, from Reuters, it says Sweden drops Assange rape investigation after nearly 10 years. About damn time. A Swedish prosecutor dropped a rape investigation against WikiLeaks founder Julian Asange, ending the near-decade-old case that had sent the anti-secrecy campaigner into hiding in London's Ecuadorian embassy to avoid extradition. Although the prosecutor's decision can be appealed, it probably closes the case, which was launched in 2010. The accuser's lawyer said she was studying whether to appeal it. Assange skipped bail in Britain to avoid possible extradition and took refuge in the embassy in 2012. He was dragged out by police in April this year and is now in jail, fighting extradition to the United States on computer hacking and espionage charges, unveiled after he left the embassy. While Assange was in the embassy, the statute of limitations ran out investigating all but one of several Swedish sex crime complaints, originally filed by two women. Deputy Chief Prosecutor Eva Marie Persson reopened the remaining case after Assange left the embassy, but she said on Tuesday the passage of time meant there was not enough evidence to indict Assange. After conducting a comprehensive assessment of what has emerged during the course of the preliminary investigation, I then make the assessment that the evidence is not strong enough to form the basis for filling in indictment. She told a news conference 9 years have passed. Time is a player in this decision. Assange, a 48-year-old Australian, has repeatedly denied the sex crime allegations, calling them part of a plot to discredit him and secure his eventual transfer to the United States. I believe it, because in 2019, this is a day and age where a woman can basically accuse a man of rape, and even if he's cleared of it, his life is ruined. We have things like #MeToo. We have things like the Brett Kavanaugh case, which logically could not have been real, because A, she couldn't recall specific details that any real rape victim would have, and B, the fact that she appeared to have certain physical manifestations of what is known as cognitive dissonance, i.e., you telling a lie, you know it's a lie, you're in the view of thousands of people, what's the one thing you're worried about? Getting caught. Many of these manifestations include the inability to keep regular eye contact, dry throat, which means you'll be frequently swallowing various liquids, usually water, and you'll also be taking lengthy pauses in your speech because you're usually coming up with it as you go. If you run into a question that you were not prepared to answer, and you don't have a prepared answer ready, what do? Right? This is a day and age where lying about rape is very, very doable. It's even becoming more and more common all the time. Although it's still in a minority of cases, I'm sure. Nonetheless, this would obviously play into the hands of the people who want to extradite him, because his website WikiLeaks did in fact have research materials that would ultimately expose certain people within the Democratic or Republican elite for being pedophiles or otherwise being criminals, and that's why they want to get rid of him. Because those particular groups are a big part of the country's establishment. Let us now focus on the threat Mr. Assange has been warning about for years. The belligerent prosecution of the United States and the threat it poses to the First Amendment, WikiLeaks editor-in-chief Kristen Hrafnsson said in a statement. Assange's Swedish lawyer Per Samuelsson said as far as he was aware, British lawyers had not yet been able to contact Assange in jail to inform him of the Swedish decision. This is the end of Assange's association with the Swedish justice system, Samuelsson said. But he is not happy with the way he's been treated. He lost faith in the Swedish justice system years ago. Elisabeth Massey Fritz, lawyer for the accuser, told Reuters in a text message that she and her client would discuss whether to request a review of the decision to drop the case. The right decision would have been to interrogate Assange in London and then charge him with rape, she said. After today's decision, my client needs time to process everything that has happened over these 9 years in order to be able to move on with her life. U.S. anger. The Australian-born Assange made global headlines in early 2010 when WikiLeaks published a classified U.S. military video showing a 2007 attack by Apache helicopters in Baghdad that killed a dozen people, including 2 Reuters news staff. WikiLeaks later angered the United States by publishing caches of leaked military documents and diplomatic cables. In 2016, it played a role in the U.S. presidential campaign, releasing documents from hacked emails of Democratic Party officials. U.S. investigators determined those emails were originally obtained by Russian hackers as part of an effort by Moscow to help elect President Donald Trump. Admirers have hailed Assange as a hero for exposing what they described as abuse of power by modern states and for championing free speech. Critics say he's a dangerous figure complicit in Russian efforts to undermine the West. Even some critics of Assange says that the U.S. charges against him could be troubling since they treat publication of secrets as a crime, activity that advocates of press freedom say is essential for journalism. The case had divided opinion in Sweden, a country with strong traditions of support for both women's rights and media freedom. Prosecutors were criticized for letting the case drag on, while many blamed Assange for obstructing the investigation. Now, why do you think the government would classify anything? Well, obvious conclusion, they've got something to hide. Now, why do they want to hide it? Because they know it makes them look bad. This is the American empire we're talking about here, people. This is the American empire. These are the people running the show in our government. The establishment wanting to build a sort of new Roman Empire. Trying to conquer the world, or at the very least control it directly, or rather indirectly. Bottom line is, Julian Assange exposed the immoral criminal behavior of the United States government, and that is why they want to extradite him. Why they want to get rid of him or punish him. Because he exposed them to the public. And besides, you know Hillary Clinton was a freaking warmonger who was probably complicit with some of those actions. So of course she also would want Assange extradited. He exposed her for who she really is. The Queen of Warmongers, as Tulsi Gabbard basically called her. But the decision by the Swedish prosecutor heads off a potential dilemma for the British courts, which might otherwise have had to decide between competing U.S. and Swedish extradition requests. Since leaving the embassy, Assange has served a British sentence for skipping bail. He's now being held pending his next hearing in February on the U.S. extradition request. He faces 18 criminal counts, including conspiring to hack government computers and violating an espionage law. Bottom line is, they just didn't like being exposed. This is the American empire. This is a criminal government that ultimately has committed many, many insane acts over the years and used any and all justification necessary to justify the starting illegal wars, either for the acquiring of oil, or ultimately for the direct or indirect control of other countries to further their power base. So extraditing a man for exposing them to the public would be right up their alley. Julian Assange is a warrior for the truth. He's a good guy. A hero. He was fighting on the right side of history. The government can't hide everything forever. The truth of American involvement in certain areas has already been exposed, and it won't be only a matter of time before it all gets exposed. And we all learn about the horror of the American empire. If we can't fix the system, then to hell with it. There are days where I honestly think we should just probably start over. Anyway, peace.